I love board games. There are the games that most people are familiar with, like Monopoly, Scrabble, Clue. People think that that is like the ocean of board games, but that's really just a tiny puddle which leads into a much larger ocean of games. Games that are designed to be challenging, mentally complex, that require abstract thinking so that adults can challenge each other in a duel to the cardboard death. Given that we're looking at so many screens all the time in the modern world, it's so nice to have something tactile and physical in front of you that you can be entertained by while with friends. As much as I enjoy movies, you're not really communicating with the other person while you're watching the movie with them. You might discuss what the movie was about after it's finished, which is great, but in a board game, you're forced to share your attention on a specific set of rules, a specific set of outcomes, a specific set of goals, and you're working either against or with each other to achieve a certain outcome. While movies might be a more passive form of entertainment, board games are a very active form of entertainment. That moment when someone's been building up a strategy for 4 turns and you come in knowing that that's what they were doing and you deliberately ruin their strategy while looking them in the eyes, and then they do the same thing to you 3 turns later. The satisfaction of that moment is so unique to board games that it's hard to emulate anywhere else. The way that you almost have to philosophically acquiesce to a set of abstract rules and ideals which float above the cardboard and meeples as you interact with not really just the board, but the shared rules above the board that you're all partaking in. I mean, it's really a testament to the wonder of the human mind that we can get so invested, so engrossed, so excited about these abstract ideals which, like I say, float above the cardboard and the ink. There are actually 2 general categories of board gaming: Ameritrash and Eurogames. In Ameritrash games, you're typically much more combative and trying to take out your opponent directly and very actively. It can be a quite aggressive, you did that to me, so I'm going to do that to you approach to a game. Whereas with a Euro game, it's much more management focused, where you're trying to build some sort of engine which generates you resources and consequently victory points. I think if you feel you're too disconnected from other people and you're spending way too much time looking at screens, get a board game for your family or for your friends, sit down and just bask in the pure social aspect that it encourages. My love of board games comes from my childhood, where I would often play chess with my father. I have only one tattoo on my entire body, and it's an icosahedron, which is a D20 die, which I got on my wrist because my father passed away when I was younger, and anytime I see a die, I'm reminded of him, so it seemed like the logical choice to get at the time when I was much younger. Every time I see this tattoo, I'm reminded of my father and the shared memories we had playing board games. Now, if you think board games are for children, or you think board games are too simple to really hold your attention, I would say that if you think philosophically and you enjoy abstract thinking, you enjoy tactical decision making and strategy, then what are you waiting for? Board games are absolutely for you. In Vinhos, you establish a wine farm in the lands of Portugal and export your wines locally and internationally. Very complicated economic simulator. In Imperial Settlers, you get a civilization to care about. In King of Tokyo, you and your friends are giant monsters competing to destroy Tokyo or each other, whichever comes first. In Citadels, you take on different personalities to help you build the best city for your king. In Munchkin, you kill monsters, steal treasure, and stab your friends. In Game of Thrones, you are one of the leaders of the great houses of Westeros, and through intrigue, alliances, manipulation, and a lot of backstabbing, you move your armies through the lands to try and achieve victory through conquer. In Takenoko, you tend to the Emperor's bamboo garden and try and work with a panda and a gardener to score points. In Wingspan, you try and attract specific birds to your habitat. Way more fun than it sounds. Champions of Faith is a biblical game where you try and enter the Hall of Faith, supremely based. And I could go on. There is a whole world of board games out there, and there is definitely a game for you. There's a reason that there is currently a board game renaissance. Play is something that is done for its own sake. You don't play a piece of music in a rush to get to the end of the song. In the same way, the purpose of the board game is found in the joy of the game as you're playing it with your friends. And while there are many forms of entertainment in the world today, board games really capture a tactile element that other forms of media just can't. So I encourage you to unplug, get around a table, and play a game with your loved ones and your friends. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new here, my name is Dylan Gous. I have a podcast called Existential Delight, where I have meaningful conversations with fascinating people. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any new content. Become a channel member for early access to new content and bonus content, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.